if you go back to the founding of the AU, the African Union, we had one important voice. It was Kwame Nkrumah. And remember what she said in 1963, we must unite or perish. And those who did not support him actually went for what was called the minimalist Pan-Africanism, the minimalist. And they prevailed, and we know where we are today, 60 years later. And the gap between Africa and other regions have increased significantly. And today we are celebrating China. But back in the 60s, Africa was far better off than China in terms of income, in terms of wealth. In fact, the image of Beijing at the time, Peking, were bicycles. Why? The image of Africa were Mercedes-Benz and so forth. And so the gap was quite significant. But today, I think we've seen, the last time I saw the data, the gap between Africa and Asia has widened significantly. And one reason for that growing gap between Africa and the rest of the world is the fragmentation that Professor Seth talked about. And that fragmentation is costly. It's costly in the sense that it has actually perpetuated what we call that colonial development model resource extractions. We come and get the resources out with no value chains. We integrate global value chains as a supplier of raw materials, essentially exporting jobs. It's also costly in terms of macroeconomic stability and access to financing and financing development more generally. One example to illustrate that, how fragmentation can actually undermine accumulation and growth. And the largest iron ore in the world is in Guinea. And yet, the whole continent spend an average at $60 billion every year to import steel. And Nigeria alone is $4 billion to import steel. But collectively, it would take less than $30 billion to build that mine and exploit it. So fragmentation has cost in the sense that we are not able to pull the resources together to realize what is actually the foundation for industrialization, the steel industry. It's in the industry, it's national security, it's an armament. Without the steel industry, there's no development. We've not been able to focus on that as a result of that fragmentation.
Voice of Africa by Africans.